Hello everyone. This is Dr. Ryan, Executive Consultant with Ambit Energy. I'm here today to talk about the paradigm shift in Ambit Energy. It's a fundamental change in one of the basic concepts and practices in how we go about building a business. And, first things first, I want to thank some of my friends and mentors, because what this video actually is a combination of ideology and philosophies from a few different people. And one of the big ones is Brian McClure, another one of my good friends, Tony Procopio. And some of my own ideas, and I kind of mixed it all together. And I wanted to come to you today with a step-by-step training on exactly how to go about doing the paradigm shift, step by step by step. And the way you use the paradigm shift is basically when you're out showing the plan and a prospect says maybe. 10% of people, when you ask them to get started initially, they'll say yes, 10% will say no, and then the other 80% will fall into that maybe category. Now, what do we do with these maybes? Step one, I like to go into the if I could, would you statement. So let's say I'm sitting down with a prospect to say, hey, with me and you working together, and obviously me doing most of the work when you first get started, do you see any reason not to get started right now? And the prospect looks at me and says, well, I got to talk to my wife, or I want to go do some research, or I got to talk to my husband. All of these things, anything that's not a yes and that's not a no, falls into that maybe category. So what I'm going to hit that prospect with when they tell me a maybe, and like I said, it could be a think about it, research, talk to the wife, anything that's not a yes or a no, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to look them directly in the eyes and I'm going to say, look, hey, if I could show you a way you can keep your wallet in your pocket and you didn't have to spend a dime right now, and I did most of the work with no money now whatsoever out of your pocket, where you can make approximately $75 an hour working in the comfort of your home, would it be worth an investment of an additional 2 hours of your time to see if Ambit Energy will work for you and your family? Now, I always like this if I could, would you statement, because it's appealing to multiple things. You see, the first thing I'm saying is, hey, you can go ahead and you can keep your wallet in your pocket. You don't have to spend a dime, and obviously people love that. They don't want to put money up front. A lot of people are like, well, I don't know, is it worth the investment? Is it not worth it? Have I seen enough value yet? So it actually appeals to people's cheapness and not wanting to spend money. Hey, if you kept your wallet in your pocket, you didn't have to spend a dime. The other thing this statement went across is doing work. I said, hey, if I did most of the work for you. And what that element of this invitation actually does, it appeals to people's laziness, and you're telling them you're going to do most of the work, so it helps them in that aspect. And then the third dynamic is actually the paradigm shift in Ambit Energy, just telling them, hey, if I could show you how to make $75 an hour working in the comfort of your home, would it be worth an investment of additional 2 hours of your time to see if Ambit Energy will work for you and your family? So what's that telling them is, hey, how would you like to make approximately $75 an hour? Now, at people's jobs today, a lot of people don't make anywhere near $75 an hour. So $75 an hour is a tangible amount that most people don't make at their job today. And it's an amount that actually gets a lot of people very, very excited. All right, guys, step two, actually going ahead and getting that customer list. And the way we're going to go about doing that is, let's say I'm sitting down with a prospect, his name's Bob, and I'm sitting down looking at Bob, and I say, hey Bob, so obviously since you're interested in making $75 an hour, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sit down, and I'm going to help you sign yourself up as your own first customer, so you can go ahead and start getting those savings immediately. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get 2 more customers, because I'll tell you what, Bob, if we can make a list of 20 people that simply want to save money on something they're already spending money on. Those people that are always complaining about not having enough, people that love and trust, people that would, actually go ahead and do you a favor. What I can tell you is I can almost guarantee you that within an hour of smiling and dialing, we're going to go ahead and gather those 2 customers, and you're going to make $100. And, it costs $100 to get involved in this business. And, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put another hour in, and we're going to gather 2 more customers. So with you being a customer and a total of 4 people other than you and a total of 5 customers, we're actually going to make a total of $150 back, and for putting 2 hours of work in. Now, Bob, here's the good news. You don't have to actually go ahead and put up $100 to see if it'll work for you or not. what we're going to do is, take a look at it, Bob. We're not actually selling anything. We're just going ahead and educating people on exactly how to save money. All right, step 3. We're going to go ahead and train the potential new consultant on exactly how to ask for the favor for the person to become a customer while at the same time incorporating their why. So this is how we're going to go about doing this. So what I would do is I spend about 15 minutes teaching the new consultant on exactly how to ask someone to become a customer. And what we're going to do is, to make it duplicatable, we're going to use Ambit University number 200, number 12, getting them paid, by our good old national consultant Ray Monty. And what we're going to do is go ahead and use that first 6 minutes and 23 seconds, and we're going to play it to them, and we're going to play it again if we need to. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have the prospect, that potential consultant sitting down in front of me, I'm going to have them write their why down on a piece of paper so they can conceptualize it. So it's right there in front of them, exactly why they would do this business. And I will dig it out from them. I would ask them, hey, look, what would $75 an hour allow you to do that you can't do right now? What would $75 long term allow you to do that you just don't have the ability to do right now? And I'm going to have them write their why down on a piece of paper, just like this one. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to have the favor approach ready to go on this piece of paper. Well, what do I mean by this? So the way we go about gathering customers in Ambit Energy is we ask people for a favor. So I'm going to actually write on a piece of paper, I'm going to have it right there in front of them, I need to ask you a favor. And it says, and then right next to it, it says, what is it? Because that's normally what people do when you say, hey, I need to ask you a favor. And the next thing that's going to come out of their mouth is, if I can save you a little bit of money and it won't cost you anything, and it will be really important to me to allow me to spend more time with the kids, would you be willing to help me out? Now you see what I did there. I have this all written on a piece of paper. I need to ask you a favor. If I could save you a little bit of money and it won't cost you anything, and it would be really important to me to allow me to spend more time with the kids, or whatever their why is, you insert their why right there at the end. So that way, when they're talking to people and they're asking people to do them a favor, they're not fumbling and jumbling about, and they're not in total disarray. It tells they have to just read off the paper the exact favor approach and then their why at the end, incorporating it. So you can go ahead and make an effective customer gathering call. All right, step number 4, very, very important. What we're going to do now is we're going to mentally prepare that potential consultant for rejection before they start making the phone calls. Very, very important that we do this. We want to let them know that it's not all rainbows and butterflies and daisies. So the way we're going to go about doing that is I'm going to look at Bob and I'm going to say, hey, Bob, I know your anticipation may be that every single person that we speak to is going to go ahead and become your customer, because obviously it makes all the sense in the world. And, what I can tell you is that's probably not going to happen. In fact, what I'm anticipating is, the reason I actually asked you to go ahead and put 20 names on that piece of paper is because, we're only going to get a couple out of the 20 to do it, just a few. And because a lot of people, they're going to want to talk to their husband, they're going to think about it, there's going to be this excuse, that excuse. And I just want to go ahead and prepare you ahead of time that not everyone's going to do it, not everyone's going to become your customer. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and smile and dial until we go ahead and get 4 people that will actually do you a favor and become a customer and save themselves some money on their bill. All right, step number 5, going ahead and getting to the grind, making those phone calls and signing up those customers. Now, what we're going to do is, obviously that new potential consultant, they don't have a website yet. They're not actually enrolled into the business, so they can't actually go ahead and sign up customers. But what we can do is, obviously we're working with them and we have a website and we could sign up customers. And if you have 20 customers as a consultant in Ambit Energy, you can actually go ahead and transfer customers to people in your downline at a later point, as long as it's within a week and you have 20 customers. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, when people are signing up and people say, yeah, I'll do you a favor, I'll become a customer, what we're going to do is we're going to sign them up on our personal customer link. That way we can always move them to that new consultant when they do get started. Now, like I said, it's only if you have 20 customers. Now, if you don't have 20 customers, what you can do is you can go ahead and sign those customers up on paper. just to have it on a tangible surface. Now, if one thing I want to go over and one tip I kind of want to throw out there and add to this presentation is if it's during work hours. You know, a lot of times if you're sitting down with a prospective consultant during a lunch break, during lunch hours, sometime in the middle of the day, a lot of people are at work. You know, a lot of people are at their 9 to 5. And, you know, chances are if you just call them randomly during their 9 to 5 and during the workday, they're gonna be on the boss. They're gonna be talking on, you know, really low on the phone because they don't want the boss to hear. Or it's gonna be a really awkward conversation. They won't really be paying attention to you or listen to you or give you the time of day. And even if they do give you the time, it might be time where they're speaking really low and not even paying attention to what you have to say. So what I like to do is I like to, especially if it's during work hours, very critical, is I like to clear the time slot to actually speak to people, to ask them to become a customer. So the way I like doing that is really simple, using text message or Facebook. And what I like to do is, like, let's say we need to talk to Kevin, and Kevin's Bob's friend, and, you know, I got Kevin on Bob's list here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have Kevin shoot him a quick text message via phone or via Facebook to actually go ahead and clear that time slot. And I have a message right here that he's going to text that Kevin to clear up that time slot so we can speak to Kevin about becoming a customer and doing Bob a favor. So, and the text message basically goes like this. Hey, I need to get 3 minutes of your time on the phone. Can you talk now? Or when in the next 2 hours can we get on the phone for 3 minutes? That's it. Just really short, simple. And I'll have that message right here written on a piece of paper. That way they can't screw it up. And I'll even text it to them so they'll have it exactly, so they can just go ahead and copy and paste that message to people we're going to try to clear that time slot. That way we know when we call Kevin, the prospective customer, we're not going to catch him off guard. And it's really critical during work hours because obviously we don't want to go around disturbing people. And when we speak to people, you know, you don't need to talk to them for longer than 3 minutes. But as long as we get them to block that time off, we're golden. All right, so chances are when we're going ahead and we're smiling and we're dialing, you know, Bob's going to get questions. You know, they're going to get some kind of kickback. They're going to kind of get some pushback once in a while. And, you know, obviously we're sitting next to him or we're over the phone and we're helping him. And we'll be there to assist Bob when he gets that. Now, what I'll instruct Bob to do is if he gets any question whatsoever, is I'm going to have him get me on the call. And this is the way he's going to go about doing that. I'm going to have it written on a piece of paper directly in front of him so he can, you know, read right off of it. He can't get it wrong. Any question he gets, he's going to say, you know what? That's a great question. My business partner is actually sitting right here, and I just put you on speakerphone. Now, that's really critical because there's a couple of dynamics in what just happened. He acknowledged the fact that it was a great question. He introduced me into the call by saying, hey, my business partner is sitting right here. And the next thing he did, which was extremely important, is I just put you on speakerphone. He didn't ask the prospective customer for permission to get me on the phone. He just did it. He just said, hey, you're on speakerphone. Everyone can hear you now. And that's great because a lot of times if you ask for permission, they're going to say no because they don't want to bother anyone. You know, they don't want to speak to anyone else. So they just put them on speakerphone, and what I'll have Bob do is just introduce me and introduce the prospect. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. He can say, hey, I'm here with Dr. Ryan. He's a local business owner. He's very successful. And you know, Dr. Ryan, I got my friend Kevin on the phone here. And he actually owns a pizza shop in town. And, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get on the phone as an expert because I'm working with Bob. And I'm going to go ahead and obviously answer Kevin's questions. I'm going to answer that prospective customer's questions. And, you know, what I'm going to do is not only am I going to answer his questions, but I'm going to let that prospective customer know that I'm over here and I'm actually helping Bob here make approximately $75 an hour. And the next thing I'm going to do, and the third thing, which is really, really important, and if you could shift this dynamic into your conversation, and it will lead to, I mean, just incredible, incredible results. And what I like to do is I'll talk to Kevin on the phone and I'll say, you know, Kevin, the reason we asked you for the favor is we knew that you would want to help Bob out. We knew that you were someone that Bob can count on when he needs some help. We knew that you would be more than happy and willing to help Bob out. And I'm putting Kevin on the spot. And I can't tell you how well this works. And you make it out to like if that prospective customer says no to doing the favor and becoming a customer, you make it out like they're the most evil person in the world. And I actually got this from my good friend Tony Procopio. It's like if you saw a hungry puppy that was starving to death, wouldn't you want to give him a little bit of your food if you're over here eating a big burger? And you're taking this dynamic, and it just works so well when you come in as a third party on a call, and it will dramatically pump up your results if you take advantage of it. And just going off on a slight tangent here, a lot of times, because I introduced the fact that I was helping Bob make approximately $75 an hour, a lot of times you'll get a call back and they'll say, hey, is that guy still there? Is Dr. Ryan still there? And they'll ask you, hey, how can you afford to pay him approximately $75 an hour? And what I will do is as the third party expert, I'll say, hey, that's a great question. It actually requires 15 minutes and a cup of coffee. When can we get together? Very simple, straightforward, to the point. So I'm over here setting up meetings for Bob, and he's not even in the business yet. I'm already drilling for depth, and Bob's not even in the business yet. Now, sometimes they'll kind of push back a little and say, well, can you tell me about it over the phone? And really simple, I'll come back and say, nope, I actually have a strict policy against doing that because this could be a life-changing moment for you, and I don't conduct life-changing moments over the phone. So when can we get together for 15 minutes and a cup of coffee so I can walk you through what we're doing here? Very simple, straight to the point, set the appointment. And Bob's got appointments even before he's officially launched in the business. All right, step 6. We're going to go ahead and get them signed up as a consultant officially in the business. And we're going to go ahead and transfer those customers, get them paid, get them super excited about this business. This business is all about the transfer of belief and excitement, and the fact that we're going to go ahead and get Bob paid, he's going to have belief and excitement. So what I'm going to do is, when we started this process with Bob and I sat down with him and we started making phone calls, I actually clicked a timer on my watch or my smartphone and I started running the time. And that way I know exactly how long it takes to help Bob get that total of 5 customers, himself plus 4 other accounts. Now I'll look at Bob and I'll say, hey Bob, let's go ahead and do the calculation. Let me stop this timer here, and hey, let's do this calculation. All right, Bob, well, let's see here. Well, it took us about 2 hours to go ahead and get 5 customers, so we got our 5 customers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and calculate this out for a second. So 5 customers, the company's going to shoot you back a check for $150. We divide that by the 2 hours we put in. Hey, Bob, you made about $75 an hour. Or if we divide it by a different amount of time, let's say it took an hour and a half. Hey, Bob, we made X amount of dollars an hour. And you can go ahead and calculate it out for them. And you're going to tell them, Bob, hey, look, what we're going to do, Bob, is we're going to go ahead and put your credit card up right now. We're going to go ahead and get these customers verified, do the third-party verification call, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer them to your account. And like I said, as long as we go ahead and we verify them by Friday, a week from Friday, you're going to go ahead and get a $150 check for less than 2 hours work. And I'll tell you what, Bob, how hard was that? We had a lot of fun, Bob. I mean, remember when we called Christy and she just literally just blew you off, and we spoke to the next person and they just signed up with no hesitation. And that's just kind of how the business goes, Bob. And you really don't got to worry about it. All right, step number 7, get their written list. So the way we're going to go about doing that is I'm going to look at Bob and I'll say, hey, Bob, how many people do you know that wouldn't mind making $75 an hour? Because, Bob, for every person that you go ahead and you refer to me and we go ahead and repeat that exact same process you and I just did, not only are they going to make approximately $75 an hour, but you're going to make approximately $75 an hour as well. Because I don't know if you remember in that video, but they talked about a matching bonus. And when you go ahead and you put a person into the business and they go ahead and get 3 customers, they're going to make 100 and you're going to make 100. And when they go ahead and put an additional 2 customers in for a total of 5, they're going to make another 50 and you're going to make another 50. So in total, they get 5 customers and we help them do it. They're going to make 150, you're going to make 150. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and build that list out on paper. I'm going to play the who do you know game, the who do you know game. And what's going to end up happening is, because Bob is just so fired up and so excited because he's already made money in the business. He came in with a check ready for, $150 or whatever the check is. He's pumped, he's excited, he's got belief in the system, and that name list is just going to flow right out of him. And we're going to go ahead and jot those names down on a paper and build a written list of contacts that we can reach out to who wouldn't mind making approximately $75 an hour. All right, step number 8. Duplicate. Obviously, this is extremely, extremely important because we don't want to go ahead and do the work forever for Bob. We want to turn Bob into a producing individual inside of our organization, and we don't want to baby him forever. We want to teach him exactly what he needs to do step by step by step, and we do that by working the system and working the paradigm shift with him. But we don't want to do it forever, and this is how we're going to go ahead and get Bob to duplicate, essentially become clones of ourselves, and hopefully much better clones. So I'm going to say, hey Bob, look, this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to work with you as long as you come along with me. Because if you go ahead and you'll do what I just did, if you'll come along with me and we'll work with 3 or 4 people that and we'll just go ahead and plug them into the same system that I plugged you into. Remember, Bob, when I asked you to go ahead and take a look at that video on the internet, and I asked you, did it make sense to you? And you said yes. And then I said, hey, would you mind spending about 8 more minutes taking a look at a compensation plan video? And you said, hey, I'd take a look at it. And I said, great. And remember, I didn't give you the video link until you were actually in front of a computer and you were committed and you had about 15 minutes on your hands to watch it. You remember that, Bob? Absolutely. And, we're going to go ahead and repeat that process. And what's really exciting about this is the fact that we already led Bob through this system, so he knows the system. And what's even more exciting is the fact that he's fired up because he's paid already. So let's say we're sitting down with a prospective consultant of his, and let's say we're sitting down with a guy named Jordan, and Jordan says maybe, and we repeat the process with Jordan, and he says yes to making approximately $75 an hour. And what Bob's going to do is he's going to sit down and with our friend Jordan, our buddy Jordan here, and he's going to go, you can't even believe it, but I made $75, or I made $80, or I made $90 an hour, working with Dr. Ryan, whatever that amount is. And I'll tell you, Dr. Ryan worked with me, and we got this done. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over to your house, and we're going to do the same thing, and you're going to make approximately $75 an hour as well. And they're all pumped and excited, and people can feel that level of excitement, enthusiasm, and it's contagious, and it'll come right through the phone. And it's so powerful because there's a belief level there, and there's a level of confidence, and confidence sells. Confidence, you could have no idea what you're talking about, but as long as you're confident, people will ride with you on that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go on over to Jordan's house, and we're going to repeat the process, and we're going to repeat that process 2 or 3 more times until Bob actually goes ahead and feels comfortable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey Bob, look, we need to start making $75 an hour, 2 hours at a time. And think about it. If we go ahead and we do this 3 times a week, that's $450 a week approximately, Bob. And just by going over to someone's house and working through this system just like we did, you do one on Saturday, you do one on Sunday, you do one during the week. And hey Bob, if you don't fit in 2, hey, that's okay too. If you only do 2, that's $300 a week. And what's really important about what we're doing now is we're breaking down the money to a per hour basis. And this is what people can relate to. People can relate to making $75 an hour, or $50 or $60 an hour. You see, the amount that we're generating, if we do this correctly, and if you follow the customer gathering favor approach, fact is, if it takes you 3 hours to do it, and you make, I don't know, or 4 hours, it's not going to take 4 hours, but if you take 3 hours to do it, doesn't really matter. Whatever amount of time it takes you to actually go ahead and do this process, you're going to probably generate an amount of income per hour that they're not generating at their current job per hour. And that's what makes this so effective, because we're actually putting a dollar amount approximately, and you want to make sure that they know it's approximate, because obviously we don't know they're going to make, exactly $75 an hour. It might be more, it might be less. It all depends on, obviously how, if they're following the script, if they're doing a proper customer approach, if they're incorporating their why, obviously who they're speaking to. There's different variables, but if you do it right, you'll come out to about there. There's no absolute, numbers, but it's approximate. But when you break it down and you can kind of situate and crystallize it for people, it's all the more real. And if you could sit down and work with them and help them and execute this paradigm shift, and you duplicate it through the organization by helping people, do it 2 or 3 times so they know what to do, and they can go out and teach their people, and they can teach their people, and they can teach their people, it will absolutely explode your business. So, super excited you guys tuned in today. I hope you guys enjoyed the paradigm shift training step by step by step. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to share it, and I'll go ahead and click that subscribe link down below. I have a lot of great videos on the way, and it'll keep you in the loop on exactly what's going on. And hey, listen, I appreciate and love you guys so much. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time with me today. I do appreciate you, and go out and blow it up and have a great Ambit day. Thank you guys so much.